everyone, and welcome to another edition of the Mr. Warren Hayes Show. I, of course, am Mr. Warren Hayes, and this is a Thursday evening, Thursday, May 27, to be very exact, folks. We're already wrapping up. We're already wrapping up the month of May in 2021. You know, as much as 2020 just dragged on without any good sense to just come to an end, it seems to me like 2021 is just flying by. Like I barely have time to, get into the mood of May. It's like May's done. Let's just move on then. All right, okay, look, this is where we are right now. But this is what we're going to do here tonight. We're going to sit around, chill, take it easy, and we are going to talk about professional wrestling tonight. Right here on the Mr. Warren Hayes Show, which is recorded live on youtube.com/Mr. Warren Hayes, Thursday nights, 9 p.m. Eastern Time. This is where I record the podcast in front of people. Yes, because there are wonderful human beings who take time out of their busy schedules to come over here and just hang out and have a good time watching the Mr. Warren Hayes Show, listening to my numerous thoughts on professional wrestling. And look at who we have here tonight. Look at this fantastic crowd already. Robert Larry's here. Good to see you, Robert. We've got Ben, also known as Phantomark82, who supplies me with music galore right here on the Mr. Warren Hayes Show, and I appreciate that. Thank you very much, Ben. And Woods, good to see you as well. Anakin JMT is here as well. We got Flowman here too. I'm psyched. A lot of stuff going on. It was another kind of wacky week in wrestling, and there's a lot of stuff to talk about. And on top of that, we didn't even have any Dynamite. So, I mean, at least on Wednesday, we're going to get it tomorrow on Friday at the moment that we're recording here. The Dynamite hasn't patched it. But look, lots of stuff to talk about, and I am super happy that you are all here watching the Mr. Warren Hayes Show, joining me live here, right now. So, hey, if you like this already, give the video a thumbs up. That would be fantastic. And also, if you feel like it, you can also if you're watching on your own accord on demand whenever you can also leave a like there as well. And if you're listening to this on your favorite podcast application, because of course the Mr. Warren Hayes Show is available on podcast formats, numerous and extraordinary, from top to bottom, it's there. Well, thank you. And consider showing some love there with a review, a subscription, a like, whatever it is you can do to show some love there. That is absolutely appreciated. Also, you can show some love to belltobells.com, the women's wrestling wire that you need for all things related to women's wrestling. Head on over there, belltobells.com, BELLTOBELLES.com. That's always cool. I was busy this week. I was a busy guy. I was on podcasts outside of my own. I was on the Everything Pro Wrestling podcast with our boy Conrad. And man, we'd been trying to work together for a while and stuff just didn't work out. And finally, I was able to go on his show first. And that's amazing. And I was glad we showed up there, talked about Double or Nothing. And I was also on Armbar Audio today, earlier today, streaming live to talk about Double or Nothing as well. So that would then mean that I will be doing my own prediction show this weekend. But I mean, you should check out my stuff that I did on Everything Pro Wrestling and on Armbar Audio because they're all great guys. But also this weekend, I will be doing my own prediction show on Friday afternoon. Shaking things up, trying some new stuff out. But I'm going to be joined by John of Wrestling Plug Inc. and also from Between Two Beards over on Love Wrestling as well. So if you want to join me on Saturday for that, that would be fantastic. Like absolutely amazing if you guys could do that. This Saturday afternoon, Double or Nothing prediction show, AEW, the big pay-per-view on Sunday. But before that, the big prediction show with John from Wrestling Plug Inc. It is going to be a good time. Don't forget to join the Discord. The Discord is cool. It's a fun place to talk about wrestling. Do it. Go to the Discord. The link is in the description. I don't know why you're not there yet. I know you're not there yet. I may be watching for you. I'm talking about you. Keeping an eye on. But they do consider joining the Discord. That's always fun. You can also support the Mr. Warren Hayes Show a variety of ways. First and foremost, the comment streak. If you're watching live right now, there's no real point. But if you're watching it later, the comment section will be open, so you can add some comments there. And it's a great way to help support the show. Algorithm loves it when people interact with videos. So yeah. Why don't we do this again? Why don't we get in there, right? And add some comments. And we're trying to do a streak, 20 comments on the next 20 videos. We're up to 7 now. And we're going to get a reward. I'll do something, and I do something special at the end of those 20 videos with 20 comments on. We've been beating them mercilessly. So let's keep that going. That's going to be, so leave a comment there. That's an easy, super simple way to show some support for the show, but it really does help out. You can also support the show by becoming a member of the Mr. Warren Hayes Show channel as well. You can jump right in, join the channel. With that, you get access to a bunch of emojis that you can use live as you're joining here. But on top of that, you can join me for our exclusive post stream, which happens after the Mr. Warren Hayes Show proper. Immediately after, I jump on for a members only stream where we talk about pro wrestling. We keep on the conversation. We keep talking. And tonight, I'm going to be asking the patrons who join us tonight, either via chat or via calls within the Discord. I want the patrons, or not the patrons, but the members to come and tell me what their favorite match of the week was. What did they like this week? What was the match that made their hearts sing? Or, gave them the goosebumps, gave them the pleasure shivers, whatever you want to call it. Just head on over to Mr. Warren Hayes, youtube.com/Mr. Warren Hayes. Enjoy the channel from there. Those are some great ways to show some support, and you can also drop us a super chat. And if you do, I will read your question or comment live and on the air and it will be recorded for all eternity, or at least until the internet takes everything I've ever done down. I don't see why they do that, but you never really know. There we go. This is where we're at. I'm ready, fired up. I think it's time for us to go. I want to say hello to Peter Davies. Pete Davies, good to see you. Welcome to the chat. And we are going to get things going right now with the weekly wrestling inspection. Let's kick things off right now. As you know, I guess it's almost a tradition at this point, right? It's almost a tradition at this point where I start off by talking about New Japan Pro Wrestling. That's whenever there is some New Japan stuff to talk about, I jump right in, and there's been a lot of talk, or a lot of hang on, I don't know how to put this. There's been some talk, but I feel like not a lot of coverage over Will Ospreay and his neck and his injury, and I feel like there's not enough people who are talking about it. I also understand that there's a lot of conjecture and a lot of stuff that, nothing's been officially confirmed. So I appreciate that there's a lot of channels, official channels or news channels that are staying away from it, not necessarily reporting it as news. And I'm definitely not reporting it as news, but it's definitely interesting at the very least at this point. Let me get down. We're gonna go back to some stuff that I talked about last week in regards to Will Ospreay being stripped of the IWGP World Heavyweight Championship. New Japan announced that his neck, he sustained a serious neck injury and they sustained a neck injury, and that would keep him from competing. So he was stripped of the title. Excuse me. Headed back to the United Kingdom for treatment, and that's basically the story, right? The Wrestle Grand Slam tour was canceled because of new COVID restrictions that were put in place. The Gaijin wrestlers that were all told, you guys can go home. But then suddenly they were told, no, you guys stay here because they rescheduled the Grand Slam tour. They were like, no one go away. You stay here. Despite the fact that they were told, yeah, go home. And this basically, it ended up pissing off a bunch of these foreign wrestlers who were apparently already irritated at New Japan's communication or lack thereof of communication. Apparently, this has been a source of frustration for the talent for a long time. Now, in regards to this, and this is a report that came from the guys over at Voices of Wrestling, apparently that there's some unrest in the locker room regarding communication. Apparently, talent wasn't advised of the tour being booked until it was publicly announced, right? And so, of course, you can understand that a lot of people would be irritated at that. And this is on top of, a very stressful, very tense situation with cancellations due to COVID restrictions and talent being tested positive for COVID as well. We recently learned that Kazuchika Okada was one of those who had tested positively for COVID. El Desperado, Taichi, these were all guys who came out on their own to say that they got COVID and that it was particularly awful. Like they didn't get an easy strain or an easy set of symptoms. I don't know what you want to call it, but it was not simple. So that was very annoying for them. The fly-ins were also reportedly very annoyed with the quarantine. The outside talent that fly into Japan to do the shows, and they're annoyed with the quarantine, the bubble conditions within New Japan. And then if you take this as the background of everything that's going on, that there's problems within management, or at least from management going down to the talent, that the talent is a little irritated, let's put it that way. The reports move on to something else here. Apparently, nothing's been substantiated here. Just want to underscore this, but this is the rumor, the reported rumor that's coming around. Apparently, Will Ospreay left the country despite New Japan's request to stay. So, as it happened, they canceled the tour. They told the Gaijin, okay, you guys can go home. And then they backtracked and say, wait, no, guys, stay. But Ospreay was like, nah, man, I'm gone regardless. I'm leaving anyway. So, despite the fact that the office telling him to stay, he left. There are reports going out there that his injury, his neck injury, isn't as serious as New Japan reported. He has nagging injuries. Hell, every wrestler has nagging injuries and walks around and wakes up in the morning with something hurting, right? But outside, and yes, of course, Ospreay has neck issues, but nothing that would apparently, again, warrant New Japan saying, no, you cannot compete with this, that you cannot be medically cleared. Kind of like Kazuchika Okada with his back. He's got back injuries, and he worked everyone a couple of months ago when people were saying, oh, he's working with a herniated disc. What do you mean I'm working with a herniated disc? So apparently these are nagging injuries, nothing serious. So essentially, our boy Will decided to defy company orders and just head home. So New Japan is like, oh, so you want to go? Fine. Well, you're going to lose the belt. We're stripping you from the belt. And that's what happened. And they put out the neck injury story sort of to cover the situation. And that's pretty much where we're at. And apparently now the rumor is that he's headed to NXT UK. Yeah. Look, from what I've gathered, from what I've heard, his injury is real and is potentially serious. That's what I've heard. And that he's even tweeted out, Ospreay's tweeted out an x-ray of a neck injury, and of course, there's no real way to know if it's really his or not. It's wrestling. You don't know. You can never be too sure if you're being worked or not, right? So I'm not quite sure what to believe. Is his neck hurt or not? Is it serious? Is it not serious? Is it just a nagging thing? Is he just standing up to New Japan management, or I don't know. I really don't know. But I can tell you one thing. I'm pretty sure, regardless of what's going on, he's not going to NXT UK. What are you talking about? You get he's still under contract with New Japan. He's still under contract with New Japan. Apparently, there's a lot of contracts that are coming up at the end of 2021. That'll be a whole other discussion when we get there. But right now, he's still under contract there. Even if WWE would buy out his contract, I don't know. Why would... Let's just fantasy land this for a second. Let's just pretend, okay? Let's just say that our boy Will was like, or New Japan, WWE was like, we'll buy out the contract, we'll get Will over. There's no way they're putting Will Ospreay on the brand that Vince McMahon doesn't even know exists. At bare freaking minimum, they're putting him on NXT. There's no way they're putting him on the UK brand. Absolutely not. You kidding me? Now, the whole thing about whether Ospreay is legitimately injured or not, if he's standing up to management or if he's really getting treatment, it's a wild scenario. And it stinks because if anything, the one thing that I have no difficulty believing in right now is the fact that that the wrestlers are having problems with management, because apparently that's kind of rampant right now. It's kind of like, well, what are you gonna do? They're telling guys one thing, then switching things around, and apparently communication hasn't been great. And then Gato's hanging around, and Dick Togo is there too, and he has an office job along with Gato as well. So apparently it's not great right now. So that's something I can buy into. I think at very least, knowing Will's history and his temperament, I wouldn't be surprised if he was just like, no man, I'm fed up, I'm going home and I'm resting because you guys are yanking me out all over the place. I don't know what to do with the COVID stuff, I feel unsafe, whatever, and he just goes home and he gets stripped of the title. It's a really rough situation right now in New Japan, and it breaks my heart because I love New Japan. It's probably my favorite promotion. It's the one that I get most excited to watch the big shows, but I haven't had that excitement in a while now. I kind of think, well, you guys know, I've been critical of the main event scene easily since last fall or late fall. It hasn't been great. There's a lot of weird decisions that they've been making, and New Japan isn't great right now. All promotions go through lulls, right? And I'm not LOLs. not LOLZ, not lulls, lulls, LULLS. Just wanted to make sure that was clear. They all go through periods where things are a little rockier, and I feel like we're in a down curve from New Japan. And the guys on Voices of Wrestling, they made an interesting comment, and I have to echo it. I think it makes a lot of sense. I think from all of the major promotions out there, I think New Japan is the one that COVID has gut punched the hardest. They got a go-go'd real bad. I think like WWE pivoted, created the Thunderdome, created a whole other experience to watch on television despite the empty arenas. That was a thing. AEW, probably the company that did the best work in the COVID situation, using talent to fill up on, ringside, create some crowd noise, keep an organic feel to it. They pivoted, did that. Impact throughout the pandemic. Sure, they kept their shows going, but then entered their relationship with AEW, and that helped keep things alive. But the Japanese shows, the New Japan shows, man, it's been rough. It's been a rough go. So I don't know. Look, I'm always, kind of a wait and see kind of guy. And I'm definitely not calling gloom and doom on any promotion. That's just something that I refuse to do. And it's something that I've been guilty of in the past. Oh, TNA's going to fold. TNA's going to fold. Well, it ain't dead yet. It's doing quite good as it stands right now. So, and it's just there's nothing going on, and everything is extremely stale. There's nothing that you can sink your teeth into. If Ospreay's injured, Hiromu's still injured, it's a rough go. It's a rough go. It's these moments that test you as a fan, right? We'll see. Want to say hello to Justin Firestein, who's here. Oh, look at that. Look at that. Justin Firestein tells us that he apologizes for being late. You're never really late. You don't have to apologize, but thank you, Justin. But he tells us he's late because his daughter's middle school graduation was today. Congratulations, everyone. Give us a thumbs up or any kind of positive emoji in the chat for Justin and his daughter. That's fantastic news. Congratulations to her. I want to say hello to John from Wrestling Plug Inc. How you doing, John? Welcome to the chat. Excited to talk to you on Saturday. And DGMC is in the house as well. All right. Let's get to this here. Well, it's not as let's get to this. I've started already. Folks, I think I am I think I'm officially in Drew McIntyre fatigue mode. I think I have officially entered Drew McIntyre fatigue. And on that note, Conrad from Everything Pro Wrestling jumps in. How you doing, Conrad? Welcome to the chat. I'm officially burned. I think I am. I think I'm done. Drew comes out on Monday interrupting Bobby Lashley, right? And he has the microphone and he sort of jokes it off, right? He's like, oh, we all knew Drew McIntyre was going to come out, and he tried to laugh it off because, self-referential humor, if you own it, then they can't make fun of you, but it's like, holy shit, man, Yes, we knew you were coming out, and I think that's the point at this point. I think the point that Drew being in the title picture, I think it's a little cringe right now. I think it is. And chat, let me know what you guys think. Do you think that you're you're feeling a little Drew McIntyre fatigue right now? I'd like to know what you guys think. Maybe I'm alone in this, and that's possible. But he Drew's been involved in the title picture in one form or another since January 2020. Non-stop. Since he won the Royal Rumble, he's been in the picture. If he's not champion, he's challenging for it. You know, not even when Randy Orton had the title did Orton have a big title defense against anyone else than Drew McIntyre. And I have trouble wrapping my head around this and saying, is it because WWE refused to elevate anyone else? And I don't think that's true, because look at what they did with Bobby Lashley. They gave Bobby Lashley the build, like the proper build, the real build, where it's like they're going to turn Bobby Lashley into a phenomenon that you just can't deny, that clearly positioning him to be a threat to Drew's reign, or whoever. Well, you know, ultimately Drew's, right? They built a challenger for Drew, but now the only challenger for any champion who is not Drew McIntyre at this point is Drew McIntyre. Now they just, you know, continue adding. They've continue adding Drew to the title picture, threw in Braun Strowman for some flavor, I guess. But I think the cardinal sin here, I think the one thing that absolutely underscores the biggest problem with Drew McIntyre in the title picture, and why I think I feel exhausted in his regard, is because his character is the same. He hasn't changed. He hasn't budged. There's no development. There's no layers to it. No! Adding a sword is not a character development. That ain't it. He's the same guy. You know, confident, somewhat smug, never gets mad. And why does he never get mad? It baffles my mind. I love Drew McIntyre. If you're a long-time listener, you know how much how excited I got when he returned to Raw a couple of years ago as a heel and was doing heel shit. And I loved Drew as WWE champion. He conducted himself like a pro. He looks like a champ, acts like a champ. He is perfect. He really is. But that doesn't mean that he's the only guy who should be there in this position. It's ridiculous to me. I sincerely don't understand. And how his character has not evolved. You know what would have been a super interesting character development, and I talked about it before, but I still think it could have could still be carrying him today. When he got screwed out of the title by Bobby Lashley during Miz's cash-in, if Drew McIntyre had come back the very next night on Raw, started flipping shit, being pissed off, being mad, being like, you guys screwed me out of this title, and he's still chasing it to this day. If he was just showing some emotion instead of smugness, like all champions in WWE, they're all smug. They're all above everything. They don't get mad. They're always like, oh yeah, but Bobby Lashley will get pissed off a little bit. He'll get a little irate, you know, that kind. But no one gets mad. If I'm Drew McIntyre and I'm the champion of the biggest wrestling promotion in the world and I get screwed out of the title, I come in the very next night on Raw and I start flipping shit. I start taking names. I destroy shit until something good happens again, until I get some kind of justice. And it still hasn't worked out for him. It boggles my mind. And And I'm at a point where it's like, I don't care about Bobby Lashley in the title picture anymore. Not Bobby Lashley, excuse me. I care about Bobby Lashley. I don't care about Drew. I want someone else. I want someone new. That's what I'm looking for. Want to say hello to the world-renowned historian. He is world-renowned, or she is world-renowned. They are world-renowned. And I want to say hello to Kristen Ashley, the First Lady of the MrWarrenHayes Show. Yeah. Hello, Kristen. I see a lot of chat in the chat, go figure, talking about how, baby faces in WWE, stupid babyface syndrome, and baby facing is hard in WWE. And it's true. Like, it's as if they don't know how to build a proper baby face. And the thing with Drew is that Drew is a very natural alpha male, Vince McMahon approved babyface champion. But it's okay if he's not in the top picture. And it's not something that will ultimately hurt him, because I think at this point Drew McIntyre is bulletproof. I think he's fine. So you could have him just feud with other people in the meantime. And it's just, what's frustrating is that you don't get any challengers being built in the meantime. They did it with Bobby Lashley last year. Why couldn't they be doing it with other people in the meantime? Just making meaningful wrestlers challengers to the title. That's crazy. Anyway, look, I don't want to just talk about some bad stuff when it comes to WWE either. Look, I have to talk about Matt Riddle versus Xavier Woods from Monday, right? It was such a strong television match. I thought it was an astoundingly good match. Great grappling from both guys, hitting power moves on top of that. Riddle with those gut wrenches. That's early on in the match, in the first part of the match, and lots of reversals, like that one where Woods has he suplexes. There we go. That's the word I was looking for. He suplexes Riddle, holds on to the grip, stands back up. Riddle because he wants sort of to do another suplex, but Riddle drags him back down. Woods wriggles out of it, but they're still like holding on to each other. They're still like there's still locks. Woods wriggles out, stands up, and yanks Riddle up into a suplex. That was awesome. Woods hits a sick DVD right on the side of the apron. There's those in and out tombstone attempts, which was fun. That German suplex from the outside into the ring by Riddle was on the first rope, that executed on the first rope. Ends with an RKO. This was a great match. And it was interesting and smartly structured. Like, it was nothing. It wasn't like anything else that you saw on Raw that Monday, or generally speaking. It was really good. And it has me wondering, like a really good showing by Woods as a singles competitor. So you got to wonder, even though he lost, he looked great in this feud. So you got to wonder, even remotely, is this a coincidence that they're suddenly, turning to Woods, putting him in singles matches, while in the meantime over on SmackDown, Shinsuke Nakamura is messing around with the crown of the King of the Ring winner? Are we slowly inching towards maybe a King of the Ring tournament, and that Woods is going to get some singles matches, some reps in there, because because essentially we all know Xavier Woods' big dream, his big deal is that he wants to get in the King of the Ring tournament. He wants to win it. So I don't know if they're just sowing the seeds here, but if that's the case, in the meantime, this was a great match. This was a really strong match on Monday Night Raw. And I'm going to move into my other topic here. Just move on here and get some hot trash on this one, because there were good matches, like some really fun, interesting, well-paced, well-presented, well-thought-out matches on both SmackDown and Raw this week. You had Kofi Kingston at the start of Raw. Look, not the start of Raw, because you have to start with 20 minutes of promos, but I'm exaggerating. 12 minutes of promos. Not any better, but, but you had that match, which was really good. You had Cedric Alexander versus Shelton, which was good too. You had Charlotte and Asuka, who delivered another good match. The Fatal 4-Way on Friday. Cruz, Owens, Zayn, Big E. That was a well-worked, strong match. Like, everyone put in the effort. Sure, like, if you're annoyed by two guys are fighting while the two guys are outside of the ring formula, well, this did nothing to help you, but it was still a fun match. But my problem is that these good matches end up with shit booking on a whole bunch of fronts. Right? You get Kofi and Drew, right? That ends with Bobby Lashley interrupting and throwing the match out, and they're like, no, we're running it again next week. And I'm like, why? Then why did we just... Because the match was, I think it went like 20 minutes. 22 minutes, something like that on a Monday night. And you're like, this is exciting, we're into it, and we don't get a finish, and we're gonna run it again next week. Then why do it in the first place this week? This is not good storytelling, and it's not compelling. It doesn't give you a reason to sit down and be like, and to get invested in this 20-minute match if there's no outcome. If it's just like, we're going to hit the reset button and do it next week. And like, Jesus Christ. The Fatal 4-Way on SmackDown ended with Aleister Black making his return. Super glad to see Aleister Black back on TV, and that they're not going to keep him like hidden away in that dark room with his book like for months on end. At least they're putting him out there, setting up a feud with Big E. That's all super cool. But ended with a fuck finish again. Charlotte and Asuka. It's a good match, but you know what superseded it? The fact that they've been wrestling each other for thousands of times in the past. I'm exaggerating, but that's how it feels. They're always in the ring together. They're always fighting each other. WWE can't stay out of its own way sometimes. Just give us a nice, clean, fun finish, and you've got yourself a good show. God damn it. The number of times that I say, you let the talent do their thing. Let the talent cut their own promos. Give them time to put on great matches, and WWE would be on top of the world. They'd be untouchable. I swear to God. Because they have too much competent, top-tier, world-class talent to not be able to put on a great wrestling show. But they get themselves into the way of these great matches. Riddle versus Woods finished clean. No interference. There wasn't no Randy Orton hanging around. There wasn't Kofi coming into... There was nothing. Nothing. Why do you think I like the goddamn match so much? It's because it was a match from start to finish. We got the opening bell, and we got a guy hitting the 3 count on another guy. No shenanigans. Why can't we? Why was Cedric and Shelton that good too? Same reasons. Plus, on top of that, Riddle and Woods, a fresh match. It's not something that Now I fear that they're going to run it over and over, because that's the problem. We get these good matches, but WWE gets in its own way. And I think I think that's the main problem with Raw, is that it just sucks us out of it, because we have the impression that it's always the same thing over and over and over again. Don't we talk about that? Let's keep rolling. Let's talk about copy-pasting Raw these days. Because, look, I mentioned it. I mentioned it with Asuka and Charlotte. I just want to say so many things at once. But the copy-paste, look at the CTRL+V Syndrome is what we should call it. The CTRL+V Syndrome is exactly what we should be calling this in WWE. There's a problem with them to be able to put on fresh matches for us. Asuka and Charlotte, this is their third singles match since WrestleMania, April 11th. It's the fifth time they fought each other in some capacity as well. No wonder we're sick of seeing those two together within such a short amount of time. Drew McIntyre, I just talked about the fact that he's always in the title picture, right? Well, in Drew versus Kofi tonight, they tell us that they go 21 minutes, only to tell us the match doesn't matter. Hey, but don't worry, we're doing it again next week. I'm like, no, then don't do it. Then either give us the clean finish or don't do the match this week. Do anything else. Natalya, Tamina, Nia Jax, Shayna Baszler. It's the same situation. You're like, my God, why are these women fighting each other again? It's always the same thing with them. They've been fighting, I think, I don't even know. I don't even know how many times, but it feels like a mountain of times that they've been in the ring with each other. And they did it on Friday, and they did it on Monday again. And I can't stand that anymore. And the main thing, the problem, what makes this egregious on one hand and unacceptable on the other is that WWE has too much contracted talent on their rosters to be having the same matches week after week, or have the same people in matches with each other week after week. It can't. It doesn't rhyme. It doesn't work. It can't connect for me. I don't know why they don't try to elevate other women. I don't know why don't they bring in, give, Mandy and Dana Brooke a match against PC trainees. You got them. You got a bunch of them. Hell, you're letting some go because you got so many of them. Have some of the dudes have some squash matches, some enhancement matches. They don't have to be 15 minutes long, but you can definitely cut in your promo time and in your video packages and recaps to give us a few more matches where we see other people having matches with other people. It's insane to me. It's such a problem. And I don't understand how the formula of a Monday Night Raw never changes. It's always the same. And when it does change, we're all shocked. We're like, oh my God, it's starting with a match. What's going on? And the same people, week in, week out, in the same matches. I just don't get it. I really don't.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, boy. We got a couple of super chats here. I seem discouraged, but I'm not. Want to say hello first and foremost to Mr. Frets. Good to see you. Welcome to the chat. Also, Injection 2K is here. How you doing? And he left a super chat as well. It says, hey, Warren, did you see the ad I made you on Twitter. No, I don't think so. You'll have to send me the link, like in a DM or something. I did not see it, or it doesn't ring a bell. Well, let me know. Link it to me. Evan Wright is here as well. How you doing, Evan? He left us a super chat. Thank you very much. He says, I'll never understand why Liv Morgan isn't on TV. Dude, I don't understand why the Riot Squad is not in any level of wrestling, any level of contention for the tag titles. That is absurd to me. They have one tag team that has always been in a faction or a group or a team. They have one. And they're not even sniffing the titles. It's so simple. And the thing is that Liv, especially Liv, but Ruby too, but especially Liv, let's say the Riot Squad, but especially Liv, has an organic fan base. Maybe the fan base isn't as vehement as Alexa Bliss fans or Sasha Banks fans, which I think are extremes. God bless them, by the way. Please don't come after me. But Liv has her own very loyal following. Like, if you want, they're opening up the arenas. God damn, I can't wait. I can't fucking wait to hear the reactions of these audiences, these live crowds, when fucking Tamina and Natalya come to the ring. I cannot wait to see what kind of receptions they get. And, trust me, and I think we've discussed this in the past, trust me, now that we're used to hearing piped in noise, you can absolutely 100% guarantee that our boys in the booth are going to keep piping in the noise. They're going to keep sweetening the crowd noise whenever the audience, the live audience isn't reacting the way they want, because now we're used to it. Now, Bruce Pritchard can go like this when, he'll be able to crank up the knob when wrestlers who get no reaction come out. Or when people start cheering Roman because finally Roman is cool. We gotta pick up the booze a little bit. It's gonna be Bizarro World. A couple of years ago, they were booing Roman out of the building. Let's make them. No, they need to sound happy. Cheers, cheers. What were we talking about? Liv Morgan? God damn. The thing, Liv comes to the ring, and there's people who are excited to see her. She has fans. Social media goes bananas for her. They love her. She's got a great Instagram. She has charisma. Is she perfect in the ring? No. Like, she's not Minami Toyota, but she's definitely not Nia Jax. You never put them in the ring, they're never going to learn. If you don't have them wrestle top tier talent, they will never improve. Not just the women, the dudes, everyone. That's just basic math. I said, Rick Poling was here. Good to see you. Got another super chat here from the world-renowned historian. Thank you very much. WRH. It goes like this. Why do you think Vince has always hated teams and looked to break them up? Like it worked with Hart Foundation and the Rockers, so now it's a thing forever. I talked about this with some promoters, and this is years ago. And to me, I think it kind of still rings true. Probably in Vince's mind, because when you book a tag team, you're booking two guys for one show, right? Like you're booking two guys on one match, but you're paying two guys, right? So if you have a tag team match, you're essentially you're booking 4 guys to work just one match. Whereas if you were booking these same 4 guys as singles competitors, you'd be booking the same 4 guys, but for 2 matches. So that would add 2 matches to your card. So I think there was a time where Vince had that consideration because he never liked tag team wrestling. He's always preferred the singles guys because it makes there's more monetary value, like purely in a booking sense, to say, you know, I'll book 2 singles. If I book a tag team, I'm booking 2 guys for the price of 1. I'm booking 2 guys instead for 1 match when I could be booking these 2 guys for 2 matches, and I'm still paying them 2 salaries. You know, that's ultimately the thing. And I think I can't tell you for sure, but I'm pretty sure that if it's not a consideration that he still has, it's probably some layover, some resentment that he's built up over the years that still remains. That would be my guess. That's my best guess, because that's the thing that some people in the past have talked to me about in regards to tag team wrestling, and that's why oftentimes you don't see more tag team wrestlers, is because they just cost more money and your return on investment isn't as great, because 4 guys on 1 match is not, it doesn't make immediate financial sense if you flip it around. Yeah, but it could be a bunch of reasons too. And there's one thing I have to nitpick. One thing I have to come just before we stop talking about Raw. And I know I spend a lot of time every week on Raw, but it's so baffling to me that the biggest promotion in the world, even though they don't consider themselves a promotion, but the biggest wrestling outfit, let's call it that, in the world, can't put on an entertaining, cohesive, logical show week after week with all the resources they have at their disposition. They can't. Anyway. Rhea Ripley and Nikki Cross had a match this week. It was a 2-minute beat the clock thing, right? And it's a nitpick, okay? And I see you, Evan, in the chat, and Evan's like, "Oh, please nitpick," because exactly. See, I knew it. He likes that kind of stuff. So they have they set this up. Rhea Ripley, Nikki Cross, beat the clock, 2-minute time limit, and they say it just in the introductions to the match. Nikki Cross has to last in the ring 2 minutes against Rhea Ripley to win. This is the stipulation. This is the thing that they said what needed to happen. The bell rings, okay? Rhea Ripley, the champ, the force of nature, is standing in the ring in all her leather getup. Nikki Cross, looking great, by the way. Been hitting the gym. She looks fantastic. All revved up, ready to go. Smaller, And what does Rhea do? Rhea's like, "Come on, Nikki. Come and get me." And the minute she does that, I'm like, "Hey, motherfucker, you have 2 minutes to beat her. She shouldn't be coming for you. You should be going for her." Oh, but just as I was saying, all these champions, they're all smug. They're all above. They're above these things here. This is beneath them winning matches. I lost my mind. So Nikki does a hold on her and she shoves her away. And Rhea goes like this, tapping her wrist like there's a clock. "Come on, Nikki." Nikki Cross should be on the outside of the ring and cheating 10 counts to win this match. She would only need to cheat 12 10 counts. Let's say 13 to win the match. But Rhea's there, come on, Nikki. But no, Nikki doesn't have to go for her. So what happens? Well, Rhea eventually wakes up, starts beating Nikki in the corner. Then the clock runs out. Nikki Kross loses. Nikki Kross wins, and Rhea's like, what? What? I lost? What? It is so dumb.
Oh, yeah.
I can't even remotely understand how any champion would act like, or anyone would be like, I don't get it. Why would you be standing around and saying, come after me? You have 2 minutes to put this chick away. All that Nikki Kross has to do is kick out and make sure she doesn't lose. You have to crush her. And then we wonder, then we sit around and we go, gee, I wonder what WWE is doing wrong with Rhea Ripley. They make her look like an obtuse doorknob. And it's nothing. Let me underscore this, okay? Let me make sure that we all understand. This is nothing against Rhea Ripley. I love Rhea Ripley. I think she's great. But the minute she ends up on main, they don't know what to do with her. Or they make her look like a complete buffoon. I don't understand any psychology in that 2-minute challenge. I can get Nikki Kross has something to prove, so she wants to show that she has the fight in her. She doesn't want to lose. She doesn't want to run out the time by hiding under the ring or shit like that, which is something that Warren would do. Just to be clear, I don't think I'm better than anyone here. But Rhea has something to prove. Rhea has to squish her. I want to say hello to Rick Poling, who joined us in the chat. It's gonna cool me. You've got a calming effect on me, Rick. Good to see you. Welcome to the chat. And look at that, Joe Poulin is here as well. I don't know, Joe. I don't know if we pronounce your last name, in a French way or if it's Poulin. Because around here I'd call you Poulin, right? So I don't know if you have the French inflection. We've got super chats. Let's go through some super chats here, or else I'm going to be here all night raging on this stupid psychology. Anakin left us a super chat. Thank you very much, Anakin. And he says, more monetary value in singles, guys. How much money has New Day merch made? How much Young Bucks shirt did Hot Topic sell? You're not getting any argument against me. It's like, I agree. This is basic economics. It's like I said, actual living, breathing promoters have talked about this to me. There's a question of monetary value to bring in two guys in a match versus four, and I get it, but yes, there's the merch and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
Sometimes I feel like I don't have a partner. Sometimes I feel like my only friend is the city I live in, the city of angels. Lonely as I am, together we cry. But also sometimes I feel like we overshoot this concept that merch is like this big point of reference for how over someone is or how much money they make, because I think like the Young Bucks, I think they're an exception to this. I think that the Bullet Club stuff is an entirely, I think that's a phenomenon, like the Austin 316 thing. The New Day, no doubt, pushed a lot of merch, but it's probably not in the levels that we expect the Bucks or like Steve Austin used to do, because those are moments in time where you're like, it's undeniable, or Hogan, I think there's other factors, more important factors than simple. I think merch is an indicator, but not a key selling point. But it's an indicator, but not a key selling point in regards to whether a wrestler draws, or is a promotion really making money off of them. But I'm getting off track. But thank you, Anakin, for the super chat, and I agree with you, for sure. Evan Wright left that super chat. Thank you very much. He says Rhea hasn't recovered from her Mania loss to Flair, which was last year. Look, I partially am in on that, but I do think that there was a proper rehabilitation that was performed in NXT. But I also think that Rhea is a more effective heel than a babyface, and she was a babyface for most of her run in NXT. So I think that kind of makes her less interesting, because by default, babyfaces in WWE, especially the top ones, aren't necessarily interesting. But they are complete. She's been slipping since been back on main. It's ridiculous. Anakin left us another super chat. Thank you again, Anakin. I appreciate it. He says, tune in to the post show to hear me say how a bonkers Power Ranger story makes more sense than Raw. Oh, that's something I'm excited for. Yes, do become a member of the Mr. Warren Hayes Show channel here on YouTube, youtube.com/MrWarrenHayes. Join, and then you can come on in, join us on the post show. Lots of chat, lots of discussion with the members who join us. It's a good time. So you'll have to find that out about Anakin's Power Rangers thing. Thank you, Anakin. And Anakin left another super chat. Anakin, thank you so much. He says, I didn't know Rhea Ripley became Tim the Toolman Taylor when I was doing it. But what did... I never really watched Home Improvement, like, seriously, but wasn't his thing like more like a... Wasn't that it? I don't know. Like, I never really watched it. I know the memes, and that's pretty much it. Peter Davies left us a super chat. Thank you very much, Peter. Appreciate it. He says, Vince hates tag teams. Meanwhile, Cody hinted at trios titles coming soon for AEW. Yes, which gives reasons to have fun-paced 6-man matches on television. Yes, and thank you very much, Peter, for the super chat. And I definitely, like, the trios titles is probably the smartest thing that they could implement. Like, how in your divisions you'd have your main title and then you have a secondary title, like on AEW right now in the men's division, you have the world title and you have the TNT title. Well, when your division when your tag team division is as big and deep, and you have factions that are created right and left, factions that confuse casual viewers, right? I mean, that's the trade-off. That's the trade-off. Either you have factions and groups in your promotion, in your television show, to make things interesting and to show that people have friends and they have allies and stuff like that. Either you have that, or you could, but if you do that, you confuse the casuals. But the fact that you do have, promotions and not promotions, but groups within your promotions, it just leads naturally into the trios titles. Hell, a lot of us saw the trios titles coming, I think, like in late 2019. It just makes sense. I'm excited for that, but I'm going to talk about that a little later. Thank you very much for that, Peter Davies. And look at this throwback. Our boy dropped a super chat. Thank you very much, Throwback. He says, just stop by to say thank you for getting the Wicked Crazy Pinfalls podcast. That's his show, by the way, running last year. Thank you, Warren. Thank you also, Warren Hayes, Wicked Crazy Pinfalls champion, maybe. Hey, listen, I'm not the guy who covets titles. I covet success. And I'm glad that our boy Throwback has been into this for a full year now. And your first year of podcasting is always a big deal. Congratulations, Throwback. And, whatever help I was able to throw and support with. I'm glad to have done it, and I'm glad you're having a good time getting all these people on, having your own crew. It's so cool, man. I'm really glad. Super happy for you. Thank you so much. Thank you for the super chat. Thank you for the kind words at the same time. I appreciate it. Metal Michael has joined us. Thank you very much, Metal Michael, for joining us tonight. Welcome to the chat. Hello. Mr. Fantastic is here too. My God, man. I'm gonna, let's see here. What should we do here? Oh yeah, we'll do some Worm Soda real quickly. Because we had, on NXT this week, we had the big one, right? Killer Kross versus Finn Balor II. I don't know what you guys thought of it, but I mean, there was nothing wrong with the match. You know, nothing that you'd say this was a bad wrestling match. It was just like it was a well put together match. I thought it was strongly fought, but it had no spark. There was no life to it. There was nothing that made you feel that it was a big deal. Because goddamn, they hammered it home that it was a big deal, but it didn't feel like a big deal once they got to it. And I don't get Killer Kross. There's something there that I'm not seeing. And I put it on me. I don't, and it could be the WWE style that's hampering him. You know, I was talking about it with Kristen when we were watching this, and we were like, man, what's the problem with this match, you know? And we were pondering, we were asking ourselves, maybe if they let Killer Kross wrestle in more of a shoot style, but like, you know, blood sport, you know, just not as, you know, just get into something a little more gritty. I think it would suit him more. I mean, I love a good Saito suplex as much as the next guy, but you know, it doesn't actually sound, it doesn't actually scream killer to me. You know, and I definitely don't want to get onto a I hate Killer Kross train, because I don't. I think the guy is made for WWE. Frankly, I don't know what he's doing in NXT. This guy is made for main roster. He just plop him up there. Damian Priest was the same thing. When Punishment Martinez was in there, I was like, I don't know why they're not just tossing him up on main. He's main ready. Eli Drake, LA Knight, same thing. What the hell is he doing on NXT? He is the prototype of main roster wrestler. Excellent, energetic, mic worker, passable worker. He's absolutely fine. He's not the guy who's going to start pulling out corkscrew topes. That's what you need on main. I don't get. And here's the things that I thought Pete Dunne versus Bobby Fish was a much better match than Kross and Balor. I thought that was a really strong professional wrestling match. Maybe. Why my voice doing this? What's going on? But I don't know. Killer Kross he's not doing it for me. He really isn't. And maybe it's because of me trying to latch on to what NXT used to be and how exciting and fantastic it was, how it was, you know, WWE's wrestling show where you had the smaller guys, where you had, you know, the no nonsense thing, no theatrics, just coming in and pounding on each other and creating these great moments, and not seeing the same people every week either, because, you know, they tape at Full Sail, they tape like a month's worth or something like that. I don't quite remember anymore. So then, you know, you wouldn't see Johnny Gargano for 3 weeks and Johnny Gargano's back now. It's not the same. So, and I don't know if I'm going full boomer on y'all. And I'm like, in my day, NXT was better. But in my day, NXT was better. And maybe there's some of that that's carrying over. And I'm okay with that. I'm okay to have that carry over at the same time. You know. Yeah. A couple of super chats here. Again, thank you everyone. Appreciate it. And thank you Evan Wright for the super chat. He says factions confuse excuse me. Factions confuse the casuals will always slay me. I know we riff on that a lot in the Mr. Warren Hayes Show Discord, which you should join if you're not already a member. Come on, the link is in the description. But yeah, that's the funniest description. People are like, oh, people are gonna stop watching AEW because it's so confusing. There's too many factions, and like I have no proper response for that. It's just the silliest shit. I don't know. It's so stupid. The world-renowned historian left us a super chat. Thank you very much. Hey, that could lead us into another topic here. It says, who is your favorite play-by-play man in wrestling history? This is a question that tells you a lot about a lad. Oh my God, my favorite play-by-play guy in wrestling history. If you were to ask me who my favorite color guy was, that'd be easy. That'd be really easy. I know some of the, some of guys who are maybe around my age and who watched a lot of the NWA territories will probably talk about Gordon Soley, but I wasn't exposed to Soley back in those days, watched a lot of Montreal stuff here. So, we had, and I'm sure Ben will vouch for this, we had Edouard Carpentier, a very celebrated French-born wrestler who would do the play-by-play for the French version of the WWF back in the 80s. My favorite play-by-play man. Sheesh. Play-by-play is really hard. I'm probably going to go with Morrow, especially in his NXT run. I don't think there's a guy. I know there's a lot of things about Morrow that unnerve and people are annoyed by, but I thought he was always good. I thought Mike Tenay in TNA did a really good job, and I know people will also say Tony Schiavone, he was so good, but Tony had to carry the show, and he was being fed lines, some weird story stuff as well. So sometimes his stuff didn't connect, but he was very good. But I think for delivering story, passion, emotion, it's hard to beat Morrow. I think Kevin Kelly's been doing a great job on New Japan as well. Ian Riccoboni, hang on a second. Ian Riccoboni is so good at what he does. That's really good. And I mean, Jim Ross. Oh, man. Oh! No, I think I have to go with Jim. I think I have to go with Jim Ross. I think I'm trying too hard. I think I'm trying too hard. And I think you have to go with Jim Ross. I really think Jim Ross is the greatest to have ever done it. He was the voice of an entire generation of wrestlers. He just got it. He knew the guys. He understood the business. He understood the sport. He knew what people wanted to hear. He knew how to deliver stories and emotions and passion. Yeah, no, I got to go with Jim. I got to go with Jim Ross. But Riccoboni's really good. Riccoboni rules. It's a tough question. But thank you. I like some tough questions sometimes. WRH. Let's talk about this stuff. Let's talk about WWE. Let's talk about WWE play-by-play people, because they've been in the news. We've been chatting about them. A couple of things that have happened here. Hey, by the way, Jason PS3, welcome to the chat. Good to see you. There's been a lot of layoffs backstage. Clearly. Okay, let me read through some stuff first. Pick this off of WrestleNomics, our boy Brandon Thurston. Have you subscribed to anything to the... Are you following Brandon and WrestleNomics on Twitter? Brandon Thurston, WrestleNomics? Because you have to. Okay? He did a roundup of all the firings and stuff that was happening. WWE executive vice president of the Advanced Media Group Jayar Donlan, or JR, not JR, Jayar. Donlan was included in a round of layoffs, as well as another EVP named Jay Rosenstock, who led international TV. Vice President of Media Operations, Malcolm Nolan, was also let go. And the Senior Vice President of Head of WWE Studios, Susan Levinson, was let go as well. Overall, WWE over the past couple of days released about over 60 people. Yeah. Over 60 or more individuals who work in the offices and backstage and in production and stuff. WWE's television department and the advanced media group are merging. And the report is that this is the end result of a struggle between the two heads of the departments, being J.R. Donlan, J.R. Donlan, who was the head of the Advanced Media Group, and Kevin Dunn, who is the head of television, right? So basically, there was a power play that happened. Ultimately, these two departments merged. A bunch of people get laid off, but of course, everyone's favorite invisible villain, Kevin Dunn, remains in the same position. He's still there. There was a meeting that happened also, where Nick Khan announced the layoffs and the changes. It was announced that Kevin Dunn, the executive producer and chief of global television distribution, he explained that the television department and Advanced Media Group and WWE Studios all being consolidated under a new department called WWE Media, led by Dunn himself, who previously oversaw the television department. So Kevin Dunn just, spread out his tentacles. It was like... Nick Khan and Christina Salen was the name I was looking for, oversaw that meeting to the employees, to the staff. Employees are going to return to their headquarters in Stamford on July 6th. Workers are not required to be vaccinated as they come back into the office, but are under an honor system. Non-vaccinated employees are expected to wear masks. Not should wear masks, not are mandated to wear masks. No, they're just like, if you said you got vaccinated, it's fine. Wild. There was also the senior vice president of production, Bran Pellegato, who was... So they just got rid of a bunch of senior executives, some EVPs. Kevin Dunn now is in control of everything, of all of WWE's output at this point. Not just the TV show, social media, anything digital they'll be doing. WWE Studios, which is their TV, movie production stuff. You're not going to be hearing many people with Scottish accents, I'll tell you that much. That was a joke. And on top of that, on the more visible side, on the talent side of things, you've all heard by now that Adnan Virk was released. WWE announced that they came to a mutual agreement that they should part ways. Virk had been on since April, after WrestleMania. Sort of came out of nowhere, reshuffling of the desk on Monday Night Raw, and he was the guy who helmed it. Came from Major League Baseball. Had everyone rolling in the aisles when he said in an interview that I don't understand why wrestling fans don't know more who I am. I was on Major League Baseball, and I still think that's the funniest thing. Anyway, so he said in a tweet The weekly travel along with my other jobs was a grind for me and my family. And he was very thankful for all the opportunities, and he thanked a bunch of people, Corey Graves and so on. But here's the thing. Here's what I find really, really funny. What travel? Like, I mean, I didn't expect him necessarily to move, to Orlando, but essentially he has to fly in to work once a week. Did anyone tell him that WWE was going to hit the road again? And then that's the travel schedule that really tests your mettle and, will crush a lesser person, right? I don't know what he was thinking. That's the funniest thing. I mean, maybe it was already very taxing. I don't know. Like, you don't know. It could be just any kind of excuse. Maybe the real reason is just, couldn't get along with Vince. I was tired of Vince screaming in my ear. And frankly, I would. That would be my reason. Can you imagine? Like, chat to everyone who's here. Take a second here. Just sit back, okay? And I don't know if there's noise around you right now, but I want you to contemplate the silence, okay? Good? Contemplate the silence around you. Then suddenly, imagine Vince McMahon's voice entering your ears. And it's not coming like from somewhere across the room. It's like coming right into your ears. Okay? Now imagine Vince McMahon's gravelly, boisterous voice shouting at you for 3 hours, nonstop, per week. Anyone who has done commentating on any long-term scale with WWE has my utmost respect. I probably would have bailed like Virk. Michael Cole. God bless Michael Cole. Like, he probably, I don't know how he copes with it. Good on him. But anyway, look, it didn't work out, so on and so forth, and I'm not going to jump on the Adnan Virk suck track, because I don't think coming from outside the wrestling business, sitting into a play-by-play spot, I don't think that you instantly get the nuances. I don't think that you understand everything that's going on as well as someone who's seasoned and who has the experience to back it up. Telling a story, because there's a difference between play-by-playing a hockey match, for instance. I know he was in baseball, but bear with me. Play-by-playing a hockey match and telling a story as a commentator. Because when you're a commentator in wrestling, you're not just calling moves. You're not just like, great lariat, look at this single leg takedown. There's a story that goes along with it, and that's what makes a good to great commentator versus someone else. So I don't think he had even remotely the time to grow into that position, because there's something that there's a finesse there that needs to exist when you're part of the business. Which brings me to the point that why didn't WWE hire from inside the business? Why do they insist to go on the outside? Because now his replacement, Jimmy Smith, is a former commentator for Bellator, UFC. Sure, he's called fights, but not wrestling matches. He was an analyst on TakeOver Stand and Deliver. Cool. Can he do the job? Can he convey the story? Because that's the thing, and I think that was the main issue that I had with Virk, is that Virk wasn't telling the stories. Virk was punching in the catchphrases and, using the basic terminology, and that was it. If you can't tell the story, that's the problem. So I'm definitely not going to sit here and go, this guy stinks. I don't think we had enough time with him to determine whether he stunk or not. And I mean, good on him if he's like, nah, this isn't working out. And he hits the bricks and he goes somewhere else instead of, becoming miserable. Anakin left us a super chat. Thank you again, Anakin. He says, did you see what Renee, as in Renee Paquette, said about Virk? Yeah, I think she was very congenial, not congenial. What's the word I'm looking for? She was sort of supportive of him. It's like, basically said what I just said here. That, it's a thankless job and it's really hard and it's not something that you can really grasp with just a couple of weeks in. And I agree. But the wild thing, the absolute insane thing is that WWE chooses to hire outside the wrestling business when there are highly competent wrestling play-by-play people and backstage correspondents and so on and so forth who are wrestling fans, who watch the product, who understand the business, but no, we're going to go get a guy who called baseball. We're going to get a guy who called MMA. And again, I'm always willing to give him a chance. But a quick call to an Ian Riccoboni, and you have yourself a quality guy. Hell, I would even argue that you had a quality guy on your roster in the person of Tom Phillips, but he was fired today. They told him to hit the bricks. Tom Phillips was with WWE since 2012. He has done it all. Backstage interviewer, play-by-play guy on 205 Live, NXT, NXT UK, SmackDown, and Raw. It's weird, man, that they fire this guy because I thought he was very good. And on top of that, he had a title. He wasn't just like talent. He wasn't just like on-air personality. His title was Senior Manager of On-Air Talent. That's what they named him on the Virk press release. They named Tom Phillips. That's what Tom Phillips will retake the bar as Tom Phillips, Senior Manager of On-Air Talent, will go head back to Raw. And they fire him. So the only thing that I see here is that he got caught up in this restructuring power grab nonsense that happened. And he just got, again, this is pure speculation, but this is what it feels like. I feel bad for Tom. I really do. Because I think this is a guy who understood how to tell a story in the wrestling business. And I feel bad that he got fired because I think he's a legitimately good play-by-play guy. And I think they all are. I think Michael Cole is a great play-by-play guy because I will always go back to the NXT UK. Was it the NXT? No, not the NXT UK. It was the first Cruiserweight Classic, right? That he was calling? I can't remember. I think it was the NXT UK tournament that he called, and he was so good. He was amazing. Because he didn't have Vince in his ear calling all the shit. Bring all these story bumps that you have to... That's wild. It's crazy to me. So it sucks for Tom. This is the kind of situation where I'm going to look at this and I'm going to be like, is this guy going to stick around in the wrestling business? Because I think he's an extremely talented commentator. I think he can transition to any sport he wants. I really do. AEW's starting up another show in a couple of weeks in August. I'm just saying. I think this is a guy who could stretch his legs there and could probably shock a lot of people because he really is good. Remember, folks, stay hydrated. It's very important. Let's see. Oh, I've talked a lot about WWE tonight. Per usual, actually. It's weird because that's it. Like there's no Dynamite really to talk about, right? But we're gonna talk about some AEW nonetheless here. Let's pull this up. Let's start talking. I don't often get the opportunity to talk about AEW Dark because I go long on stuff. I don't know if you guys ever noticed. But there was a lot of good stuff on AEW Dark this week. Couple of standout matches. AEW Dark Elevation, just to be very clear. I don't think I mentioned it, but the Lee Johnson Daniel Garcia match was good. I thought it was a very solid match, very brutal, surprisingly brutal. Wasn't expecting them to go so strong on each other. And Daniel Garcia, FYI, in case this is the kind of name that if you're not familiar with the indies, and and I'm not saying this from a position of, oh, you're not familiar with this independent wrestler. Well, you must certainly just enjoy the USA Network. How's Grizzly Knows Best, chum? If you are into, if there's one, this Daniel Garcia is the kind of name that you have to remember because this kid is special. He's very, very good. He's one of the top independent talents out there working North America right now. This guy is consistently good. He reminds me a lot of a very hungry, passionate Daniel Bryan. Paul White on Monday on commentary said he reminds him of Randy Savage. He says he's as intense as Randy Savage. I was like, oh my God, does that mean that Garcia does a lot of cocaine? I know what he meant. But I wouldn't call him like Macho Man intense. I don't think it's super fair. But look, seriously, this is a guy you have to follow. You have to keep your eyes open for Daniel Garcia. If AEW does their shit right, they keep this kid around. They have him do the rounds on Dark Elevation, and then at some point you pull the trigger on him. Personally, I think he should hang around the indies longer. I think he should become undeniable. That's how I feel he should be right now. I think he can be huge on the independents. Absolutely huge. But, we'll see how things go moving forward. But Garcia, man, something special. We know Lee Johnson is special. That's why I'm not talking about Lee Johnson. I'm talking about Daniel Garcia. You got Royce Isaacs versus Ren Narita, one of my boys. I'm keeping a list here of my boys. So you see Ren Narita's on the list, along with Danny Limelight, Nick Comoroto, Trish Adora. She's not a boy, but they're still my boys. You know what I mean? Sho and Ren Narita, who fucking beat Royce Isaacs on Elevation. And I was like, what? But he's a young lion. The young lions are the jobbers. They're supposed to take the beans. That's what I sound like when I'm shocked. And I go, what? The jobber lost. That's how I sound when I get shocked. When I open up my bank account, I'm like, what? I am in the negative again? What do you mean I have gonorrhea? Okay, so this was a great match, and Royce Isaacs is probably thrilled that he got the hell out of the NWA. He's got to be happy that he hit the bricks, got the hell out of there, and because he had a great showing. He used power against Narita here, in any form. Like Narita tried to do like leg lariats, and Isaac was like, nope, just catches him. I loved locks Narita into a cloverleaf, dragging him off the turnbuckles. That was great stuff. Narita tried to work his kicks. Isaacs hits a lot of power moves, just couldn't put him away. Hell, our boy Royce Isaacs hit a jackhammer. He hit a jackhammer, and guess what? Couldn't put him away. Why? Because the jackhammer sucks. The jackhammer sucks. Jackhammer sucks. And I love Ren Narita's wrist lock Northern Lights. He just yanks. He just yanks Isaacs into it. And he ends up with a proper Northern Lights. That was my favorite match of Elevation. It was so good. It's fantastic stuff. And of course, we got the big moment. We had Rocky Romero versus JD Drake, which I thought was fine. I think I especially appreciated JD Drake's heel work. He did a lot of stalling. I'm a big fan of stalling in wrestling. I love it when heels stall. I absolutely love it. I think Larry Zbyszko, the 7-minute stall, it's the stuff of legend, man. No one has the balls to pull that kind of shit off anymore. They really don't. It was a lot of fun. I thought it was okay. JD Drake was in NXT, and they're like, nah, son, we don't know what to do with you. It's wild to me. Anyway, after the match, Rocky Romero beats JD Drake, and Peter Avalon and the Geeks all start going after Romero. And then the Best Friends come out. And we get a reunion of Trent and Rocky Romero, Roppongi Vice, even the music. And when we were I wasn't watching it in chat in the Discord. By the way, you should join. The links in the description. They were Roppongi Vice, and I was like, Roppongi Vice? What? Show and Yo were there? And I just had a complete brain fart. I was thinking Roppongi 3K, but no. This is great. It was great. It was a wonderful moment. They did the high five. I was like, ah, God bless the Forbidden Door. This is great. Fun moment. I liked it. It was a lot of fun. Maybe one more thing about Ed Fries. Good to see you. Welcome to the chat. One more thing regarding AEW before we head on out. And it's something that I've talked about in different shapes or forms, but tomorrow Dynamite is going to be on a Friday. It's a special thing. And Double or Nothing this weekend. And, there's the big Stadium Stampede match. And tomorrow night, it's been announced that the Inner Circle are getting a celebration, and they're pulling out Eric Bischoff to come and host it and all of that. And I can't help but feel like the Inner Circle, the Inner Circle Pinnacle feud would have been better served with some violence instead of some talk. And especially after Blood and Guts. We had the Pinnacle doing their celebration thing and then the Inner Circle came with the hose thing, and I thought it was corny. I thought it was, and I was like, this is just doesn't feel important, doesn't feel serious, doesn't feel like it should, kind of thing. Then last week we had more promo segments. Now we're getting another promo segment leading into the big match this weekend where Inner Circle is on the line, and I really think that these are missed opportunities to put Pinnacle and or Inner Circle guys in matches, and not necessarily against each other, but in matches to just show the fire, right? Because right now there's a lot of exposition in this feud, but I feel... Remember, and because I will remember this for a long time. It's one of my favorite wrestling moments of the year, unquestionably. When the Pinnacle was formed, when the lights went out that fateful night and they came back up, and MJF was surrounded by his new boys, and they beat the shit out of the Inner Circle, handcuffs, nightsticks, throwing guys off the stage. Like this, it was wild. It was brilliant. There was blood. It was amazing. It was a great beatdown. And then it's like, no, we're gonna talk. There hasn't been many singles matches for these guys on Dynamite or tag team matches. Why doesn't Pride and Powerful get a tag team warm-up match? You know, heading into Double or Nothing again. They could have had a match there just to let them tear a guy apart, like Jake Hager. Let him demolish a dark guy, AEW dark guy on Dynamite. You know, just FTR. Sean Spears is a guy who could have absolutely benefited from some extra ring time to really get the character over, really position him as not the odd man out, which is sort of kind of how he feels. I think he still has to grow into his role, but you grow into a role in wrestling by actually wrestling. And it's weird, you know, because I think this is a great it's a great opportunity for these guys to actually show off what they build the anger, the fury, the bad blood, no pun intended, that they have for each other in these matches. Like, we're getting ready. This is how, you know, you fight fire with fire. What is it? You not strike when the iron is hot. But, you know, when you put a blade into flame, I can't remember the expression. The only way a blade gets sharper is by putting it on fire. What's the expression? Like, I'm gonna give you guys a spoiler from my prediction show on Saturday. I hope the Inner Circle is done. I hope they pull the trigger on the Inner Circle, and that they're kaput. I am going to be completely okay without these sometimes unnecessary big exposition interview moments that they always seem to hog up, instead of putting on other matches, instead of giving more matches for the women's division. You know what I'm saying? Iron sharpens iron. Thank you, Justin. Exactly. That's exactly. Iron sharpens iron. That's exactly what I meant. No, not knife pervert. That's another thing. Yeah, I just feel like it's a bit of a missed opportunity. But I'm going to talk more about that this Saturday, right? So be sure to join me on the prediction show for all Double or Nothing. Evan Wright left us a super chat. Thank you very much, Evan. Thank you, everyone, for all the super chats tonight. I really appreciate it. You guys have been great. He says, number one, I love this Avalon faction so much. I do too. I think Avalon and the Geeks are fantastic. Peter Avalon is amazing. I think it's perfect. It's for a stable of, you know, completely just a bunch of guys that have no rhyme or reason to actually be with each other, to actually be a group of pal. I think it's great. I absolutely love it. Number two, he says, Roppongi Vice reunion ruled. Yes, it did. Number three, give me the 8-man tag next week. The 8-man tag. Oh, yes, absolutely. And four, he says, give me Narita versus Miro for the belt. Oh, poor Narita. There's no amount of preparation that Shibata could give him to prepare him for this version of Miro. My God. Thank you very much for the super chat, Evan. I appreciate it. And Timothy Farley of Armbar Audio is here today, right now in the chat. How you doing? And as I said earlier, I joined the boys on the show today. Go check that out. Subscribe to their channel. Why don't you while you're at it? A bunch of stuff we could be doing here. I think that wraps up the weekly wrestling inspection then. Before we disappear, though, I do want to talk about the Cody Rhodes media call today. Just before we hit the bricks, of course, he did this in anticipation for Double or Nothing, which is happening this weekend. I don't know if you heard. It's kind of a thing that's happening this weekend. And I'm doing a prediction show on Saturday. Wrestling Plug Inc. is going to be joining me. Hey, sir, 5,000. Good to see you. Welcome to the chat. So, I'm not going to go through every point because there's a lot of fluff in these media calls, and that's fine. You know, it's like, I don't necessarily, but there are some points here. Evan Right left us a super chat. I'll just go respond to this before we move on. Thank you, Evan. He says, AEW as a whole supporting Cesar Bononi makes me happy. Yeah, isn't that great, though? And wrestling fans in general, with his wife and her condition and all the complications that came from him trying to get her here to get some medical attention. Fantastic stuff. Everyone was super supportive, and it's a wonderful thing to see. But back over to Cody. Thank you for the super chat again, Mr. Right. So, a couple of salient points here. He talked about Rampage, the new AEW show that's going to be airing as of August, 10 p.m. on Friday evenings. He says Rampage will complement Dynamite. It's going to be on TBS. He says that AEW wants to make TBS the undisputed destination for wrestling. That's cool. It's fine. He also said that Rampage will not mean a roster split. Don't see why they would do that, but I think it's good to have that clarified. Dynamite World and Rampage will complement each other, he says. He also added, and this was an interesting quote, he said that they're not a save it for the pay-per-view company. They want everything to be exciting on television, and this is something that we've been touching on here on the show and on other shows as well. I'm not trying to steal any thunder and say, I thought of this first, but it is something that we do bring up here. The idea of having super shows on free TV that we've been having over the Wednesday Night Wars and so on, and not necessarily saving things for the pay-per-view is a good move, because right now the way the business is transforming and moving forward, you're making money with your TV deals, with your rights deals, your licensing deals. That's how you make your cash these days. Look at WWE's making $1 billion, $200 million over 5 years, just airing on one network. So sure, that, and look at our boy Tony Khan here. He's renegotiated his contract with Warner twice since 2019, got a better deal for himself in 2020 because all they were getting was an ad split, apparently, right? I'm not. This is from what we've collected as far as comprehension and how things are. He moved that to actually get like a yearly deal, and now renegotiates the title because they're not the title, but the deal. Since they're going to TBS, getting more money on top of it. So. That's how the game goes. The pay-per-views are, I think, as a revenue stream, I think they're perceived as extra income, or they're not. I don't think they can be perceived or used as a viable backbone. A viable economic backbone for your company, not in 2021, especially not in the way the business is set up, the television industry is set up. It's all about rights fees, and so good for them. I'm super happy. I'm super happy that they're making this kind of money. So it's good that they're not just like, yeah, we'll save this for the pay-per-view, because they want to create content. They want to show Warner that they can create content, draw viewers, so that Warner will pay them more money to stay on their network. There you go. Jay Kearns, good to see you. Welcome to the chat. We had a great day today. Jay Kearns, of course, of Armbar Audio as well. And William Davis, good to see you. And here's something as well, Cody, I thought was interesting that he dropped. He said that some of the guys and gals who are on Dark are going to start traveling once the company starts touring again. So that's really cool. And that's something that I'm really interested to see how it's going to work out, right? Because since they were based in Orlando, it was, I'm assuming, fairly easy to bring all sorts of talent from the Florida area, or to get people to fly in to come in, in all this one same spot. That's why, you had people drop in, drop out. You get your Daniel Garcias, like this week, you get your Willow Nightingales that were there for a couple of weeks. Will they still do that kind of drop in, drop out stuff as regularly? I'm not saying that they're not going to cut that and not do it anymore, but maybe there was something simpler with the facilities and so on and so forth to invite a lot of people in to do some tryouts on Elevation and whatnot. Will that still be the same? But of course, you could say, Warren, of course it's going to stay the same, because if they're going to be traveling, they'll be going to different cities. They'll probably be getting more talent and rotating through different talent as well, right? You go to Chicago one week, you go to Milwaukee another, Des Moines another, then you're in LA. So you're touching on all sorts of different indies around there. So I mean, yeah, that's entirely possible. I'm curious to see who's going to be part of the Dark crew that's going to be traveling, and how they're going to keep up this pace of invitations. And does this mean that Dark and Dark Elevation are not going to be 18 match long anymore? Maybe they're going to streamline it a little more, especially if they go back to doing it in front of a live crowd. Do you tack on another 90 minutes of Dark matches, 2 hours of Dark matches for a live crowd who's already been there for 2 hours? Like, maybe. I'm just anxious to see, curious to see how this one's gonna turn out. And Cody also mentioned, sort of snidely, side-eyed, or mentioned the idea that we might be seeing a trios title. We talked about it earlier in the show, but I think it's a great idea. I really, really think it's a great idea. That's it. I mean, as I mentioned earlier, you've got all your stables, you've got all these factions, these groups, these chums, these pals hanging out together. It feels natural to do it. And here's the thing, you get more people on TV when you do trios. So you're getting more people on television. You give them a reason to have six-man titles and six-man matches and so on and so forth. I think it's a great idea. And I think it makes sense for your tag team division, which is very deep, very rich, to have a secondary title. And I say your tag team division, but you guys know what I mean. Like, there's going to be tag teams involved in these trios things. So I think it's good. Let's call it the teams division. AEW has the perfect environment for this to work out. They really do. They really have the best setup for this to work, and they've been building towards it, creating these factions, creating these groups of 3, 4, 5 people. And I swear to God, if the Dark Order are not the first trios champions, of AEW, I'm never watching AEW again. Maybe. But right, you give it to the Dark Order, right? Anyway, but the point that I also wanted to make here, which is really interesting, and I can't remember who exactly I was talking to this about this, because we were chatting. I think it was on Twitter, and I apologize, and I think it might actually be Pete Davies, and I don't quite remember, but I have a feeling it's Pete, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, Pete. Anyway, I'm giving you credit, whatever. I think we were talking about a secondary title for the women's division, right? And I think I just want the women's division to get more time. I want the women's division to have to showcase their women more. They have depth, but I don't think they're putting enough value in it. So before we pull out a second title, I think we need to put more women on TV, and maybe something like Rampage will help. We'll see. But the point that I want to make is that what would you do for the women's division? That's what we were talking about. What would you do for a secondary title for the women's division? And the person I was talking to had this great idea where it's like you create like an X division title, but for the women, like the what do they call it in Stardom? The Speed, and I know Pete, you know this, the Speed Champion, the I'm drawing a blank. I apologize. But like a title, you kind of like the X Division title, but for the women, where you have these incredible workhorses that do these incredible fast-paced, high-speed matches, which could fit with Joshi wrestlers who are very, very used to that type of match and who populate AEW as well, and you give them high speed. Thank you very much, Timothy. Yeah, like a high speed, like the high speed championship in Stardom, and that could be your secondary title. But and you create this, like the X Division title, this buzz, these high caliber matches that will only happen in AEW women's division for women who are competing for that title. And I think it's a brilliant idea. And Pete confirms that it's him. Full credit to you. I think it's a great idea. Something that you'd say, wow, if the guys could compete for this, that'd be great. But no, it's for the ladies. It ain't for the guys. It's for the ladies. It's their title. They're breakneck. They're doing all these amazing things. I think it'd be really cool. But I think we're not there quite yet to inaugurate a second women's title. And I saw a question about the NWA title. At some point, this NWA stuff is going to come to a head. Serena Deeb, as far as I understand, she is signed to AEW. So at some point, the NWA title is going to have to go back to Billy Corgan land, But we'll see. But we will see how all this is going to... But I mean, good media call. Well, I mean, it was fine. It's fine. I mean, it's just one of these things where Cody sits around and he talks about stuff and, he says... talks about his focus groups. And I thought that was funny as hell. I had this promo and I ran it through a focus group. I was like, oh my God. Cody Rhodes is going to run for office. You guys realize this, right? I think he's mentioned it. But the way he conducts himself, the way he presents himself, the way he acts, the way he... And this is notwithstanding that promo. I think he's going to run for office. Absolutely. 100%. And you guys seem excited for Double or Nothing this week, and I am too. I want you guys to join me on Saturday for the predictions. Saturday afternoon, I think I can't remember the time we're doing it, 4 p.m., something like that. But come and join. I think it's 4 p.m. Come and join us. It's going to be a good time. Subscribe to the channel if you're not, to get the notifications and all that stuff. But we're going to be going through the whole card. I'm excited to talk about it because there's a lot of stuff to talk about. It's going to be great. That's how great it's going to be. It's not going to be just great. It's going to be great. That's really how great it's going to be. Okay. Yeah, I think I'm pretty much done now. I think we're going to wrap this one up for tonight, folks. Thank you, everyone, for coming out tonight, joining me here live. Oh, by the way, no, I haven't talked about the Ultimate Warrior doc from the A&E Ultimate Warrior doc, because I want to watch the Dark Side of the Ring one first, and then sort of come back with compare and contrast. You know, there's some stuff that irked me on the doc on Sunday. I'm gonna watch the Dark Side of the Ring. Maybe we'll talk about it next time, because yeah, the Ultimate Warrior is quite the subject. Anyway, we're going to leave it there for now, folks. I want to thank you all so much for joining me. If you liked what you saw, please give the video a thumbs up. Give us a good review on your favorite podcast application. Subscribe to the channel. Become a member. And if you become a member, come and join us in a couple of minutes. We're going to talk more wrestling matches that people like this week. That should be fun. People like wrestling matches, right? They're supposed to. they're supposed to like them. Anyway, thank you all so very much, everyone, for joining me this week. I'll see you next time.